Oh, I can't hear you. Hold on. I don't hear you.
I think you can hear me now.
I can.
I didn't realize it was on mute. Sorry.
That's okay. I'm like, you never know if it's you or the person. You know what I mean?
Correct.
How are ya?
I'm doing good. Oh, what happened? Wait a minute.
No, you're still on.
I know. There I go. I couldn't see you. Everything is going great. I mean, the numbers for camp, remember, everyone laughed at me.
Let me hear.
We're going to be beyond the number that I wanted. Because Eric called me, he says, I don't believe this. And I said, whenever you come off, just like you, whenever you come off a good year, your numbers are going to be good the following year. Okay. Right. And people had a good year. Everybody loved Kristen. Everybody had a good year.
And so no one got sick. No one was sick.
No one.
Wait, we did. Hold your thought 1 second.
Okay. Hi, Tracy.
Hi. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm waiting for our long day.
Oh my God.
Wait, except you know what? Yeah. We can work all day just sitting in our house.
Oh my God, I'm telling you. I'm quick. I forgot. I'm like, well, before we start this one, I'm making my little oatmeal for the week. So I figured before she comes on, I'll quick whip this up and then I'll be set for the week.
Yeah, I already put dinner in the crock pot. I will just put the vegetables in before we start Maj. Do you want to I don't know if we need to really talk, because when we get on Zoom, if you want to start, you can, and then I can just welcome everyone also, and then we'll start the play.
Yeah. Why don't you welcome everyone? Let's get on like 12:30, you and I, and we'll quick go. I want to practice my screen share. So you want to get on 12:30?
Sure.
And then, yeah, we'll figure it out. There's not much to do.
I'm not worried.
You'll be good.
Did anybody drop out as far as we know?
I didn't get any emails yet.
No, neither did I. All right.
But that's fine. And if people have to leave during the tournament, they will. I'm just quick making my oatmeal bake.
You know what? Hopefully everyone, people, they know what the timing was. So,
Exactly. And if someone wants to drop out, I'll hop in.
Tracy, but don't even give anyone the suggestion if they have to leave early, though. I wouldn't.
Oh, no, we're not.
But we had to include in the rules that if somebody leaves, that, it could be you're playing against the bot. You did have to, we read all these other.
I understand, but if you mention it, then they'll be like, oh, well, maybe I have to leave early.
I know. Well, they don't get points, whatever, but you can't stop anyone, but we did have to include it in the rules that it's that.
Yeah, it's already in there because then they're hurting their other teammates.
And you have to. We read all these other Mahjong tournament rules, and when you do it virtually, you have to tell them they could be playing against the bot. But it's not a big deal. We're not going to do a whole long thing about it. We just have a little list of rules to go through in the beginning, and then we're going to play. I think everyone will have fun.
Oh, I think so.
And some will play faster than others, and I'm just hoping they're nice to people that aren't,
That's not relevant to you because that's somebody's personality.
No, I know, but
I played in tournaments, so yes, I know.
Yeah, so people can be nasty, and we're gonna hope they're not. So wait.
Well, you know what? Again, there's no reflection of you or Brenda. Listen, it's like that anywhere.
We don't feel that way. I don't feel that way. I just
I don't.
Want to have a good time, and you hope everybody.
Well, the only thing you could say at the beginning then is we appreciate if everybody just uses decorum, you know?
Yes, exactly. So we're going to say those things, and there's only a few people. Most people are happy to help. You don't have enough people to make all beginner tables, but you would hope we purposely matched people up that we thought would be kind if they were with someone that was a little less experienced than them. Wait, I'm going to get almond milk from outside. I'll be right back.
Okay, well, it is what it is.
I'm not worried. I played in tournaments in Atlantic City, and what we're told is that, because you could have some very mean people and they're right in front of you. So when I don't have a hand, Beth, and nothing comes in, I pick and I throw, and I just make sure I don't give anyone Maj.
Exactly.
And nobody knows the difference
Look,
except
he's
me.
alive. Wait,
Because
show
if I don't have a hand, I can't make one sometimes.
Brenda, he's alive.
Oh,
Hi,
why? You
Matt, I
were
was
born last
worried
night?
about you.
Matt had a fever last night. He was sweating like a fiend. So I was like, Brenda, I don't know. He hasn't woken up yet. So guess what, Brenda? He's alive and the fever's gone.
I told you it was gonna end. It's not like he's sick. He was fine.
No, he was fine yesterday, but last night he was like, oh my God, I'm like sweating.
Matt is lucky he didn't have COVID because that's nothing compared to the people that had COVID.
Oh my God, listen, I said it to both of you in my text, like, I'll take this. I'm grateful for the shot. I'll take this any day over COVID.
You know what? If it's a day of feeling, but you know what? The best thing for Matt to do is to get up, get dressed, get showered, and just go upon your day.
He already is.
Yeah, you can't play into it either because then you feel worse.
Yeah, no, he's fine. We were good yesterday. I mean, we watched movies, whatever.
That's what everyone's doing, even if you didn't have the shot.
Exactly. Oh, hold on. Hi, Jared.
So anyways, you know what? Let's see what. I think it will be great, Brenda. And you know what? There's always people on every program or whatever.
I know.
So wait,
I'm
what
not
are your
worried,
weeks up to? What are your weeks up to with?
Well, camper weeks are like how many kids sign up for like all 8 weeks and that.
Correct. So how many was
the
there?
highest we ever had in March was like 400 from like for the past 3 years. We're already near my 600 mark.
See, but that's why is everyone, but that's my point. Why are they more negative? That's what I don't understand.
But before, you mean? Before? I don't know what happened.
No, but I'm saying I think people should be more positive too.
I think they are. And I think that's why, because they heard good things from last summer. I mean, before COVID, my specialty camps were phenomenal. Like, people were signing up. That really helped camp. But I'm not worried. We still got so much time, to do even better. So
yeah, but I'm saying I think the coworkers should be positive too. Like no one should think you're.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I don't think
Kristen and Lisa is putting stuff out through school to make sure that all the 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds sign up. And
that's her exactly. That's her responsibility. She also has those relationships.
Yes. So we're getting there. I will see who did not sign up, and I'll send emails to people who did not sign up yet.
Did you ever get a hold of Eliette?
Oh, yeah, she signed up already.
Great. So I'm sure she appreciated the phone call, though.
Well, I never got the caller because she signed up.
Oh.
He actually got a hold of Eric, because I think Eric signed him up.
Yeah, Eric did.
Well, I'm happy, though, but I still think reaching out is nice because her kids are moving back.
I know. I know her, so I will talk with her.
Anyway, just so you know, Beth, if anybody asks, we let anybody who's a member, who has grandkids who are staying with them from out of town, we always give them member pricing if they're members. The problem with Aliette is she's not a member, but she joined. So she could have.
But it's also different now because her kids are home from Korea.
I know, but what I'm saying is, they could always come at the non-member price. And
she doesn't care about that. I just wanted Brenda to reach out to her because I was the one that brought her up because, as Brenda said in the meeting, sometimes it sells out and people don't know that because their kids, remember they didn't come last year.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a good thing. And what I'm saying is in a positive way, she even decided to join.
Phenomenal.
So her grandkids got member pricing, but she didn't care. She, people just haven't been here in so long. They don't know. So she was great. So Eric's talked to her, signed her up for membership and signed her kids.
Right. I know he doesn't know her well, but they are somebody that he should get to. I'll talk to him about that.
I think he knows.
He knows her.
No, but he doesn't know her well. They're incredible. Incredibly.
A lot of time on the phone with her. So.
But I'm saying it's even more than that. They're extremely philanthropic. Okay. So you never know what someone could give. And I had that conversation with Eric. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And especially someone who is involved in a lot of things, but she's so excited that the kids are coming back from Korea. They're not necessarily living here, but it's amazing. Because then she'll start coming too,
That's what happens, right? They ebb and flow. Lori Weiner.
He always came to the Jewish film night.
He always did. But Brenda, my point is, she's a great person to have on the JCC. I'm just
I
telling
know
you.
that, yeah.
She's a good
I've known
friend
her
of
for
mine.
many years, yeah.
She's an incredible human being. And
When is this girl coming on? We have 3 people in the waiting room. Should I start?
well, we don't want to let them in yet. No, because you're still doing your coffee. So
Oh, don't worry about me. I could stop and then continue. But what I'm saying is, when's the girl from Zoom Foods coming?
Soom.
Yeah, when is she coming? That's
Oh,
why
I don't know. I mean,
I
she
think
should.
she's in the waiting room. Hold on.
Yes, she's in. So can I let her in? I'll let her in.
Let her in. And I could stop whenever. I'll be done in 2 minutes. And then when you guys
I
decide,
let Amy in.
when you tell me, I'll let the other ones in. I'll be
Yeah,
done.
no. I just didn't want to rush you if you know what I mean?
Oh, don't worry about
Hi,
it.
Amy.
I'll stop.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Beth, and you've got Brenda up in the corner. Brenda, give her a wave so she sees what you. That's Brenda Finberg and Tracy Sussman. We all work at the J. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for having me. Let me get me set up.
Yeah, you take your time, Amy, and then do you want to turn whenever you want to? Do you want to turn your camera off for a few minutes while we let people in?
It's up to you. Sure. You want me to?
Well, it's up to you. We don't mind. Whatever you want. We'll just.
I don't care. I don't care you leaving it on. Then I don't have to be all up close to the camera when I turn it back on.
Yeah, you.
Like.
Yeah.
I'll leave it on if that's okay.
Yeah. Tracy and Brenda, I'm gonna start letting people in the waiting room. And then Tracy, when you're, all right, Tracy and Brenda. Okay. I'll let them in.
You want me to manage the waiting room? I'm done.
No, you worry about your coffee and I'll let them in and you,
My oatmeal. I'm just mashing my bananas.
that's fine. I'm letting people in. It's all good.
Okay.
Good morning. Hi, Lois.
Hey, we have a birthday girl on, Jen Oxfeld.
Oh, happy birthday to Jen.
Happy
I don't
birthday.
see her. Yeah, I don't see her. Okay. Hi, everybody. Hi, Kathy. Hey, Steph, you're under Jerry. There you are. Cheryl, Sandy, hi.
Sandy, we have to stop meeting like this. Paper cutting, cooking. What's next this week?
Right. Hi, Lois. Good to see you, Lois. Okay. Steph Smorchin, did you cut your hair?
Yeah, I finally did.
It looks so cute. It looks nice on you.
Thank you.
You look great. There's Bobby.
Hi, everybody.
There's Brenda.
Lots of familiar faces.
Bobby, exactly. We have to stop meeting like this. Exactly. Hi, Sandy, fine.
The other day, I was the only guy on that whole.
No, Rabbi Bayo was with you.
Okay. I didn't count him.
Okay. But
It's not bad.
Bobby, wasn't he funny? He had a great personality.
Yeah, good guy. Good guy.
Yeah, super nice guy.
Strange
Story.
lifestyle. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what though? It's refreshing to hear different things, right? Hi,
Yeah, you
Lori. Right.
Learn about things you had no idea. It was
Right.
Which is so nice that we have the opportunity to do that.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And he
Yes.
really let you ask him anything.
Yeah.
No.
But I think that makes him who he is, that
Yeah.
he's very open and tells his story. So I think that's, and the fact that he's a rabbi and a director of the JCC and he's a teacher, I think I'm going to look into, one of his classes. I'd love to hear him teach too, right?
Right.
Oh, there's Becky.
And Cheryl. Hi,
Hi,
guys.
Sharon, Becky.
So nice of everybody to join. Is it a beautiful day in the Lehigh Valley also?
Yes, beautiful.
Yes, it is.
It looks nice from the inside.
Well, at least it's sunny, right?
Right, right.
There's Beth's mommy.
Yeah, my mom's on. Yes, she already came from a temple meeting, so she already let me know. Mom, you had a temple meeting at 10. You're muted. Mom, you're muted. Mom.
We have an adult education meeting going on, but I left it to see this program.
Very good. We're glad to see you.
Hi, Sandy. Hi, Ricky.
All right, Mom, go on mute because I know you'll talk. There she goes. Well, that's what someone else was saying. When you have another meeting, you can kind of go back and forth. Bobby, you had that one day, right? You had us, and then you went to another meeting. So, happy birthday to Jen Oxfeld. Thanks for sharing your morning with us.
Mazal tov.
Yes. Allie Lipson joined. Hi, Al. Hi, Lori Adier.
Oh, Valeska's on.
Yep. Hi, Iris.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Iris.
Iris. Oh, yeah. Hi, Iris.
Hi, everyone. And Beth, happy belated. I think yours was the other day, right?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Hi, Kimberly.
Everybody, good morning.
How's everybody?
Everybody's
Hi, Beth. Sorry.
Hi, Ellie.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hi, V. How you doing?
Good. How's it going?
Day off today?
Yes, today.
Everybody, Valeska started her official job in the ICU. So, mazel tov to Valeska.
Thank you.
What amazing work. What a mitzvah.
It is. She's in her glory, right, V?
Yeah, very happy.
Hi, Tam. Hi, Jody. Jody's sideways. There she is. Hi, Jode. Lois is muted. She's trying to talk, but Lois, you're muted.
Okay.
Hi, Lois.
Hi. Hi, Allie.
Lois.
Hi, Lois. Hi. I got it. It takes me a second. Hi, Lois. Glad you're on.
Me too, so far.
Yeah, you're doing great, Lois. I love seeing you in Jeanette's class.
Yeah, great class.
I know, it is a great class.
Hi, Jen. There's a birthday girl on here today.
Yes.
Happy
21.
birthday, Jen.
Happy birthday, Jen.
Where is
Am I
Jen?
the only guy again?
I thought Lyle Shoreline was supposed to be on.
Yeah, Lyle will be on, Bobby.
And
Great.
Matt's here, but he doesn't show his face, Bobby. He just he is Spilka. So he sits for 20 minutes, then he goes. Then he comes back.
Lori, oh, here they come. Here they come.
I mean, Bobby, when have you been surrounded by so many beautiful women?
That's true.
It should be your birthday today.
What an honor.
Right. Hi, Lori, or is it Lyle, or both?
She's muted.
Lori, or maybe it's Lyle.
Wait a minute. There they coming.
Mm-hmm. Lori?
Stephanie, who's that with you?
Steph, you're muted.
This is Lily.
Hi, Lily.
Hi, she's adorable.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah.
Steph, no dogs barking.
Not yet.
Same here, so we'll see.
Oh, there's Amy. She's prepping. Hi, Margie.
Hi.
Hi, Margie. Good to see you. All right, we have about 37 registered, so we'll wait a couple more minutes and then we'll get started.
Hey, Lori just texted me. She says, I can't get audio, but I'm here.
She can't get audio.
Yeah. Wait a minute, let me just see who's with her, if anyone's with her.
She's got to.
Is anyone there to help you?
Brenda, we hear you.
Let me mute it. Sorry. Oh, I can't.
She might have gotten it. Okay, well, I'll do a plug while everyone's listening. We have a couple things coming up if you're not registered. Next Sunday night, the 14th of March, we have a winemaking journey with Kevin Dana, who owns the Bina Winery in Allentown, and all his wine is kosher. And he is going to take a journey through winemaking with Kevin in Bina Winery, handcrafted in Allentown. Everybody that registers will be given a code for discount of wine. And Kevin is nice enough, he will deliver in the west end of the Lehigh Valley, and he does have curbside pickup. So if you want to register, go ahead and do that. And then I'll just do one more plug before we start. On, let me get the date. In April, April 11th, which is Sunday morning, we're welcoming Jeanette Jennings. Jeanette is a proud mom of 4 children. Ariel, 25, twins, Xander and Griffin, 22, and a 20-year-old transgender activist, Jazz. She's happily married to her soulmate, Greg. Jazz was diagnosed with gender dysphoria at age 3 and socially transitioned to a girl at age 5. This was in 2005 when there was little known about transgender children. So Jeanette and her husband, Greg, decided to share Jazz's story on 2020 with Barbara Walters. Since then, Jeanette has been a fierce advocate of the transgender youth. Their family is featured in the award-winning docuseries I Am Jazz, which is on TLC if anyone's interested. Jeanette is the president and co-founder of the Trans Kids Purple Rainbow Foundation. She spreads her message of unconditional love and acceptance through social media and speaking engagements. So she's going to be an incredible speaker, not to mention a sorority sister of mine who graduated. Well, she's younger than us, but an SDT sister of mine who's going to be joining us from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So I'll send everyone a blurb about Jeanette, but she's an incredible mom, woman. And if you haven't seen I Am Jazz, you could Google that and watch an episode or two. Her daughter's amazing. So that's an amazing story. So I think we should get started, and anyone else isn't here. Tracy and Brenda. Trace, will you manage that waiting room? Okay, Amy, I'm going to spotlight you so then I can introduce you. Is that okay?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. So, okay, welcome everybody. We're welcoming Amy Zitelman, who is the youngest of the Soom sisters. She graduated from the University of Delaware with a bachelor's degree in communication in 2011 and spent the following year soaking up Israeli culture and teaching English in Israel. She's been talking Tahini since January 2013. Amy's passionate about utilizing interpersonal communication skills and working with all the members of the Soom crew to manage Soom's short and long-term company goals. Amy was named to Forbes 30 Under 30 class of 2018 list for the food and drink category, as she's the author of the Tahini Table. I'm going to talk about that in a sec. Amy's married to Darren, and they have a sweet son, Henry, and a sensitive dog, Taz. Amy enjoys yoga, bowling, and spending out time with her family. Most people who know about tahini understand the sesame paste as simply one of the building blocks of hummus. But for Amy Zitelman, Soom's CEO and co-founder, the culinary potential of tahini goes far beyond hummus. In the Tahini Table, go beyond hummus with 100 recipes for every meal. Tahini is introduced to home cooks as a new pantry staple that can be used in recipes from dips to desserts. So welcome, Amy.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, a little bit more context about my company, Soom Foods. We're based here in Philadelphia. I'm in my home just outside the city, and we sell tahini to the American market. And the reason is because back in 2011, when I was finishing up my undergraduate degree, not that I have a graduate degree, my oldest sister, Shelby, who studied business, was living in Israel for the year. My middle sister, Jackie, has actually been living in Israel since she graduated from high school in 2000, or since 2008, really. She got her bachelor's degree in Israel and then a master's at Tel Aviv University. And in that time, she ended up dating and is now married to Omri, an Israeli that's been in the tahini industry at this point for almost 20 years. And when Shelby met Omri and learned more about the amazing tahini that he was working with in Israel, it sparked a lot of questions. In particular, why isn't good tahini available here in the States? So she called me. I was not the most productive senior at University of Delaware, any university for that matter. And she asked me to do some market research. I didn't even know what market research was since I didn't study business. And pretty much she just said, you know what, go buy every tahini that you can find on the shelves, in the grocery stores, wherever you can find it. And it was really hard to find. I mean, I would go into conventional grocery stores and most of the store clerks didn't even know what tahini was. In other more natural grocery stores, tahini was always found on the bottom shelf of the international aisle with dust on the lids and an inch of oil up top and so hard on the bottom, and they all tasted terrible. And so we really started to explore this question of what makes good tahini. The secret is in the seed. It's an Ethiopian sesame seed called white humera. And why isn't good tahini available in the States? So we set out to make tahini a more familiar ingredient in the American market. And in that, we've been educating American consumers about the health benefits and versatility of tahini. Flash forward at this point 8 years, although I was working on the cookbook for about 2 years before it was published in November of last year. And it's really given the opportunity to continue on that mission of educating people about tahini, the health benefits and the versatility. And here are a few of my favorite recipes from the cookbook. So we're going to start actually speaking to desserts by making one of my favorite sweets, a tahini sugar cookie. It's kind of like a crossover of a traditional sugar cookie and peanut butter cookie. Tahini, if you're unfamiliar, is an ingredient made from 100% roasted and pressed sesame seeds. So that's it, just ground sesame seeds. Sesame has a slightly mildly bitter flavor profile, is what makes it actually a kind of more sophisticated substitute for nut butters and sweet recipes, and also allows it to be utilized so heavily across the savory sphere as well. And so these cookies are a little bit different than what has been, I think, more familiar over the past few years, as in a tahini shortbread cookie. So these cookies are much more familiar in its composition and texture, and in my opinion, is just the perfect plain cookie to keep around for coffee, or to maybe spread something else like an ice cream sandwich or even a chocolate spread on top. So let's get started, because I'm going to be making the cookies, a salad, and also a maple tahini granola today. And so we'll just get started with the cookie recipe. If any questions come up, please feel free to either, I don't know your community and trust you immensely, or Beth, if you want to lead us here, either unmute and ask the question, or maybe just type it into the chat and then Beth can direct it at me. I'll keep sharing more about the history of tahini and great facts about it as I'm assembling these great recipes.
Perfect. They can put anything in the chat and then I can ask Amy the question. Will you provide the recipes after the session?
Yes, I will get these recipes over to Beth, and we can actually follow up with them in an email. And we'll also be linking to a link if you're interested in purchasing the cookbook. It's available on our website, wherever books are sold, really, if you guys have a pretty comprehensive cookbook section, and also on Amazon. So it's called The Tahini Table. I don't even have them on display today because it was a busy Sunday morning in my house with my son, Henry. So let's get started. So we're starting with 6 tablespoons, which is 3/4 of a stick of room temperature butter. One of my missions in writing this cookbook was to make it accessible to people, whether they had the equipment or not. And with tahini being maybe an unfamiliar ingredient that they were going to purchase, that many of the other components of the recipes were familiar and were likely already in your home. So this cookie is a perfect example because I'd imagine you have, if you don't have the tahini, all you'd have to buy to make this recipe is the tahini. I also am not recommending, although you can use a stand mixer or something like that. This easily comes together just with a large bowl and a wooden spoon. So that's something that I take a lot of value in. I don't even own a stand mixer at this point, although it's on my list of potential gifts for this year, since people have been making so many breads and cakes and great stuff like that. And we're also going to go through with 1/2 cup of tahini. So this is where, yeah, go for it.
Tell us what retailers sell your tahini.
So we are available in not many large retail chains at all, actually. Most of the, business history of Soom Foods has actually been primarily selling to restaurants. But in grocery stores, we're available in all the Mid-Atlantic Whole Food stores. And so I'm not sure I think the Lehigh Valley, would you have any Whole Foods there?
Yes, they have they have it.
Oh, great. So you could find Soom at Whole Foods. It's typically, unfortunately, on the bottom shelf of the nut butter aisle, but we're happy to be in the nut butter aisle as opposed to like the kosher or international section. So there you'll find our tahini and also a chocolate spread, which is our vegan and nut-free version of Nutella. I can tell you more about that in a little bit. But yeah, so it would be available at Whole Foods, and you can also, if you are keen to or still comfortable shopping online, you can always get it on our website, which is soomfoods.com, or on Amazon if you'd like to shop there as well. It's available on Prime, and so you typically get it pretty quickly, which is nice. But I'm not sure if you noticed that when I poured the tahini into the 1/2 cup, it pours really easily. That's really a testament to a couple things about tahini. When you're looking for a good tahini, one, the source of the seed really matters. So similar to coffee or wine, I mean, what a great program coming up with the kosher wine from Allentown. But where sesame seeds grow produce a different flavor profile, quality, consistency. What's really valued in the white humera seed that grows in the Humera region of Ethiopia is really the ratio of the oil to the rest of what we call sesame meat. And so it gives it a really great creamy composition. The oil does separate naturally, but when you open a new jar of tahini, you might have to reblend that oil a little bit, simply shake it up. It's very easy to re-emulsify. And it also gives it that great, slightly bitter, but very nutty flavor profile. So that's what we really covet, what we really appreciate in a high quality tahini. In this same bowl, we're also going to be putting in 1/2 cup of granulated sugar and 1/2 cup of a packed light brown sugar. I've already combined those together in my little prep. And we're also going to be putting in a pinch of salt, just a 1/4 teaspoon of salt here, which typically is just a little pinch. And now I'm just going to be beating this together with my wooden spoon, if any other specific questions have come up yet.
Sure. Where would you store the open jar of tahini?
That's a great question. So tahini is actually shelf stable even once opened. And so most people store tahini in their pantry. I am one of those. When you store tahini in your pantry and keeping it at room temperature, the oil is likely to separate, but it's also easy to reblend and to continue to pour. Other people like to store their tahini in the refrigerator. You absolutely can if you prefer that. That does suspend the oil, so it doesn't separate as much, but it also keeps the tahini a little harder. So for me, it's not as malleable or usable as my, as my room temperature tahini. It's water that turns tahini rancid, not time or air or anything like that. So as long as you're using a clean spoon or you haven't compromised the tahini by getting any sort of liquid in it, the tahini will stay good for, our best by date is actually 2 years from production. So tahini has a really long shelf life. I mean, if you think about the history of tahini, sesame seeds were first cultivated in India as far back as 5000 BCE. And from there, it was used and traded for ritual and medicinal purposes. So sesame seeds and its variations, including into tahini, has been used for thousands of years. And if you also think about, at least how I think about it, its most popular or familiar region being the Middle East, right? People are storing tahini in warehouses in the middle of the desert. I know that because that's kind of how Omri got started. He was storing tahini in these warehouses and delivering it to his own network of hummus makers and caterers and restaurants all across the country. And so tahini is one of these really great ingredients, shelf stable, pantry staples, just really nice and friendly ingredients that you can keep. So it's my long-winded way of saying you can store it in the pantry or in the fridge if you prefer.
That's once it's opened, Amy, or would you?
Once it's opened.
Right. Thank you.
Yes, great question. So I'm just lightly getting this together with my spoon as we continue to add some more wet ingredients, including this 1 egg and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. We're gonna just keep combining it together. So I've got the vanilla going in, and also I'm gonna crack the 1 egg going in. So those medicinal purposes that have been, coveted for thousands of years, really truly still play a part in tahini's, in my opinion, popularity and potential and really inspiration because of the health benefits coming out of sesame seeds. So sesame seeds are one of the best plant-based sources of protein, calcium, and iron. It's an extremely valuable ingredient that you can use if you have a vegan dietary preference. Tahini is also accepted in paleo and keto diets as well. And so when we were evaluating the marketplace and the potential for tahini to become more popular as an ingredient, some of the boxes that we were happy to check was to see that it fit in with a lot of these dietary preferences and whether they're fads or here to stay. I think many of them are here to stay. It's great that tahini is accepted as an ingredient in there, where, for instance, something like peanut butter, right, where peanuts are actually legumes, in some cases are not. So that's one of the things that we really value in tahini. Sesame seed is also a great source of magnesium and phosphorus, B vitamins, and healthy fats. So most of the composition that you'll see of tahini is that it's high in fat, low in carbohydrates, it has 0 sugar in it. And so it's really, appreciated as one of those healthy ingredients that you can incorporate into a lot of different dishes. So you can see with the addition of the egg and the vanilla that the batter gets a lot looser. Perfect. And next we're gonna be slightly mixing up. I have 1 1/4 cups of an all-purpose flour here with just a teaspoon or half a teaspoon of baking soda. So I'm gonna give this a little mix just right into my measuring cup just to get the baking soda mixed in there. And then I'm gonna be combining that with the rest of the batter. Awesome. So back in 2011, when we decided to start our business, I graduated from the University of Delaware, and then I decided to live in Israel for a year, as my very sweet bio, alludes to. I spent a year living in Netanya, which is just north of Tel Aviv. My sister was in Tel Aviv at the time, so it was great to be able to spend a lot of time with her. And I was teaching English in a public school, a religious public school in Netanya. And what I found was that as I started incorporating tahini into my diet more and more, since tahini is so readily available in Israel, I was really excited to use it and found that my body started to crave it more and more. And so I would drizzle tahini onto my yogurt in the morning. If you've ever been around Tel Aviv and they have smoothie stands everywhere, you can always get tahini as an addition in a smoothie. One of my favorite smoothies, we have a couple of smoothie recipes in the Tahini Table, is for banana and dates and tahini and your favorite type of milk. And so I was just really inspired and also fell in love with the ingredients wholeheartedly. The other thing that I found was that a lot of the ways that I started incorporating tahini into my diet was different than how Israelis traditionally use tahini. So tahini is most commonly used, and it's most familiar in the American market as well, as an ingredient to make hummus. So in its base, in its most traditional application, you would mix tahini with lemon juice, garlic, some cold water, and that would make a really great tahini sauce, or even as thick as a tahini dip. And that is the mechanism that actually you would use to blend with the chickpeas to make a delicious fluffy hummus. But in some of the ways that I was using tahini, I like to mix them, for instance, with Cheerios to make granola bars kind of at home. And a lot of my Israeli friends said, you know, we don't use tahini that way. And it was my first inclination that this blending of cultures and me taking, you know, my American and more Western dietary preference and palate can expand like any ingredient, right? Like the uses of the ingredient. And that's really what we set out to do in the Tahini Table. Is we wanted to make it tahini, of course, respect its origins. And we have many, many Middle Eastern recipes and inspired recipes across the cookbook, but also bring, you know, the flavor profiles and the, I guess, the excited almost fusion that we can bring from how I grew up eating, like tuna fish and egg salad, and making tahini as a substitute for mayonnaise, or how we can use tahini as a substitute for eggs and cream in recipes to make it healthier and to give it that delicious flavor profile. And that's really what I'm excited that we were able to accomplish in the Tahini Table. So while tahini and cookies is absolutely a staple and something very familiar in Israel and across the Middle East, some of the other recipes that you'll find in the cookbook have a, you know, a different type of take on it, more of a fusion take of many of the more American recipes that I grew up eating and appreciating. So my batter is nice and combined in here, and I'm actually going to take a 1 tablespoon scoop to be able to put it onto my baking sheet. With all the nice fats and oils that are natural in the tahini, I don't line my baking sheets. So you can do what you'd like. Of course, you could use a lining or even tin foil if that's what you prefer. But we're gonna bake this for just about 10 minutes at 350. So my oven is already set to 350 degrees. So while I get these cookies laid out, if any questions have come in, feel free to ask.
What do you think, out of the cookbook, what do you think your easiest recipe is that you did?
So our first chapter in the cookbook has, I think, well over a dozen, maybe close to 20 sauces. And so when you have tahini at home and some cold water and some type of citrus juice, whether that's lemon juice or even orange juice, you can make a sauce really out of just those few ingredients. And so that's one of the things that I love in the cookbook, is that foundational chapter of having these sauces available, being able to use those sauces across other recipes, or also just having those sauces available in your refrigerator so that you can, you know, roast some veggies or maybe bake some protein and have a sauce to be able to make it into a more complete meal. And so a traditional lemon tahini sauce, of course, is in there, but we also kind of build on that by using some with roasted garlic. Some of the sauces use orange juice instead of lemon juice, which gives it a really nice sweet flavor profile. So I'd have to start with several of the sauces in my in that first chapter. Some of the recipes, for instance, like tahini barbecue sauce, uses other ingredients like ketchup that you would already have at home, and combining it with, you know, spices and other pantry staples to reimagine tahini and those other, you know, condiments into a new sauce. And so that might be one of my favorite ones. It's also super easy and very accessible with many of the pantry items or, you know, condiments in your fridge that you already have. Tahini barbecue sauce. I'm just going to pat these down to about a 1/4 of an inch or so. If you like them a little bit chewier, feel free to keep them nice and tall. If you like them a little bit crunchier, feel free to make them thinner. I'm going to bake mine for 10 minutes. I find at 350, I find that that's kind of the perfect amount of time to make it super chewy on the inside, but crispy on the outside. So that's my preference, is that 10 minutes at 350. But for those of you that are more comfortable bakers, feel free to play around with your timing as you see fit.
Amy, we have a question that we'll ask while you get ready to for your next demo. How did you come up with the Tahini Table, the name of it?
That's a really great question. I work with an amazing co-writer and also publishing company called Agate out of Chicago, actually. And so everything about the cookbook, I have to be honest, was very collaborative. It's really my philosophy and approach to life and business, is that when you're able to surround yourself with people that can complement your skills or even do things better than you can do, everything just kind of becomes amplified and you know, I think it's taken to another level. And so I think the name of the Tahini Table, it might have been decided by my publisher. But what they took from it in terms of our conversations about the cookbook was the fact that I wanted people, we have recipes from breakfast, lunch, dinner, salads, snacks, desserts. I mean, you really can make a full meal or cover a full table by just cooking out of the cookbook. And that sentiment really came through in terms of the ways that we created the recipes, organized the book, and ultimately came up with the name. And I also think people just like that alliteration. And so it was definitely, when we came with the name, you kind of have that aha moment, and you decide, oh yes, this is definitely the right name for the book. But writing a cookbook, I mean, is a really spectacular process. It's over 2 years in the making, from working on the recipes, pitching publishers, and then getting a contract, to then completing and testing the recipes and photographing them. The photography session in general for all 100 recipes and pictures that we have throughout the book took almost a month, like 20 days in the studio. It was really unbelievable. And not coming from a recipe development or food photography background, I was just so lucky to be able to bring together this amazing group of professionals with Jillian Guyette. Many of these, actually the whole team besides the publisher, was here in the Philadelphia area. And so it was really nice to be able to have such a great local group of professionals and really artistic and skilled people come together to bring the cookbook to life. So while yes, the recipes are delicious, I'm not gonna lie, I'm very, very proud of them. Some of the thing that really brought this cookbook to life and made it what it is the photography. So if any of you guys get the chance to bring it home, or maybe already have it, I hope you'll agree, because the photographs are really just spectacular. They're really beautiful. So what I'm doing now is actually assembling a very simple chopped salad. As we were getting started, I chopped up some tomatoes. This though has a sweet variation to it that is different than a traditional Israeli or Arabic chopped salad, which is typically cucumbers, tomatoes, and red onion, where we're adding in some chopped dates. I'm chopping up some apples, And I'm also chopping up some celery to give it an additional crunch. And so it does kind of build on traditional Israeli salad that you might be familiar with. But we do have, of course, the recipe in here is for 3 cucumbers, a medium tomato, half a red onion, et cetera, et cetera. But the thing that I love about a chopped salad is that you can be very liberal with the ratios. I mean, if you like cucumbers more or less, you can use more or less. If you like red onions or you prefer yellow onions, or like my father, don't like raw onions at all, totally omit them. It's really friendly, and like many of the recipes in this cookbook, very easy to adjust to your own dietary preferences and cooking styles. So don't be afraid to look at a recipe in my cookbook, or really any cookbook, and make it your own. You know, it's really here just to almost be like a navigation for us. You can follow it specifically the first time you make a recipe, or for some of the harder routes or more, you know, distant destinations. But if it's something that seems familiar to you, what I like to use cookbooks for is really as a guideline to just make it my own and to give me some inspiration in the kitchen. I don't know about you, but this past year especially, I definitely hit some cooking ruts over the last 12 months at this point. And having cookbooks around, whether I followed the recipes exactly or just used it as an inspiration and starting point, really helped me get through those hard days when I just wanted to order pizza. So that was what helped me over the past 12 months. And I was happy that I found myself reaching for my own cookbook quite a few times. So that was something that was surprising and really, I think, just genuinely, and showed me that being removed from this cookbook and the writing process for 2 years, that these recipes still held true, and also held true during such a stressful and unfamiliar time in my life. This really helped keep me, I think, grounded and more stable many times over the past year.
Do you have a favorite recipe?
So my most loved recipe is called my mom's chicken. It uses the turmeric tahini sauce, which is a very traditional lemon tahini sauce that incorporates some turmeric and cumin in there to make it a beautiful earthy sauce that's over roasted chicken with crispy chickpeas and some cooked red onions, cooked and pickled red onions. It's a very simple recipe. My mom and I actually semi-developed it back many years ago when I first started Soom. I would be in my mom's kitchen prepping for Shabbat dinner, and my mom really wanted to use tahini more. But admittedly, as a family growing up, we did not use tahini as often. I mean, hardly at all compared to how we use it now. And it was really my sister's Israeli family, Omri's family, that made us embrace tahini, and of course, having this business, Soom Foods. And so my mom really wanted to use tahini more. And a friend of hers sent her a recipe from the New York Times that was a turmeric tahini chicken recipe, but it used Greek yogurt in the marinade. And we keep kosher, so we decided to make a tahini sauce instead of the Greek yogurt. When you make a thick tahini sauce, it's practically the same exact consistency of Greek yogurt. So we poured that over the chicken and did the rest of the recipe, which called for the chickpeas and the red onions, and it just turned out delicious. So in working with Andrew, my cookbook co-writer, he was able to help me take a lot of these family and kind of hand-drawn recipes that I never measured and never had a real recipe for, and standardize it for the sake of the cookbook. So it's really funny, actually, the other day, or it must have been a month or so ago at this point, my mom called me and said, I finally made your mom, the turmeric tahini chicken from the cookbook. And I have to say, it's better than how I've ever made it. And that's because she's never measured, right? She never actually tried to make it as a whole complete recipe. So we passed the test, but mom's chicken, which is a turmeric tahini kind of roasted chicken, is definitely my favorite. Have you ever, Beth, cooked much with tahini before?
It's interesting. I've made hummus, And I think the biggest question I had, and I have to say, over the pandemic, when I started really using the hummus, I wasn't sure, like the question said, I opened it and used it and then put it in the fridge. So I wasn't sure if it was too thick or too thin. And I think, like most people, they've had the hummus, they've had falafel, and they've drizzled tahini. But I realized, homemade hummus was amazing, and I used it more. And I think you said so many of us have experimented with recipes over the pandemic.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I thought and I showed you when you and I first met on our call, I had the tahini in my cupboard from Soom.
Yep.
And there is a difference with the tahinis out there, as you talked about. Some are really bitter and some are just so smooth.
Yeah. And that experience was exactly what that market research showed, 8 years ago at this point, which was that most people didn't know what tahini was. If they did know what it was, they likely bought it to make hummus, and then they put it in their refrigerator and they threw it out 6 months later because they didn't know what else to do with it. And that's really where Soom developed our business plan and opportunity. I mean, it's a very simple mission. We really just want to make tahini a more popular pantry item in the American market. I mean, we dream of making it a staple pantry item, of course. I'm just going to finish giving this a chop, and then my oven started just beeping at me. But we just want it to become more familiar in the American market.
Cucumber, Lois.
Okay.
Cucumber, yes. Did I say cucumber? Did I say something?
No, you did. You don't peel it like the Israeli.
No, I don't peel cucumber. I mean, that is totally a preference of mine. You can peel it. You can peel it in those beautiful strips, really, however you like. So you'll see, though, just to show real quick, that when the cookies come out, they spread quite a bit. My cookies are soft to the touch because they were only in for 10 minutes. You could do 11 or 12, or really to your preference. But I am going to let them sit for a couple minutes, and then I'm going to transfer them onto a cooling rack, in which I simply just put. We use this for anything from schnitzel to cookies in my family, but I just put a rack, I think it's from my microwave, I really have no idea where this rack is from, over another baking sheet, and that's where I'll finish cooling my cookies. I'm gonna let those just cool for a minute.
Amy, were you into cooking growing up?
So it's funny, I had an interest in cooking, but I never lived in a home where my mom had me cooking with her, for instance. And it's really, to her, I'm exactly like my mother, but my mother's philosophy, it seemed, or now that I'm kind of reflecting on it, and now that I'm a mom and now I'm in food, it was always easier for her to just do it herself. She had 3 young girls running around from basketball practice to school and whatever. And she was not very good at delegating to us about, do this or do that. So I can't say that cooking was part of my, of my family passed down traditions. What's interesting, actually, I've been doing a lot of reflection on this since Soom and the cookbook, is that professionally, business-wise, entrepreneurially, both sides of my family come from food industries. And it's just, we always knew it, right? Especially on my paternal father's side. My dad's from DC, and his father, Harry Zitelman, had an iconic restaurant called Baston's in the DC area. And it was right next to the White House. I'm just putting everything together into this bowl, by the way, that I've already chopped to make room on my cutting board. And so he owned a restaurant growing up. And my father grew up in that restaurant industry. Our grandfather's sentiment to my father and his brother, and that was passed down to us, was that we were not allowed to go into the restaurant industry. As maybe other restaurant owners can attest to, he always said to my father, I did not work this hard so that you would have to work this hard. I don't want you to have a restaurant. And so having a restaurant or going into that industry was super taboo. We would just have never done it. I mean, my father says everything that he learned in life that's really truly important, he learned from the restaurant industry. Interpersonal communication, customer service. They did everything from whole butchery in their restaurant to an elaborate bar program. And so our father is like a huge proponent of working in restaurants, but never owning restaurants. So we always joke that like Soom went in the back door, like the restaurant industry was just kind of in our soul in that capacity. But on the other side, my mother's father was a butcher. So he was in food as well. And it's just so interesting that it wasn't necessarily culinary that drew us to food, but it was the entrepreneurship, I think, that drew us to food and kind of brought it all full circle. So both of our parents are entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurship runs really deep in our veins. I mean, my sisters and I love eating, so food is very important to us, but actually cooking, the culinary aspect of it, is something that's developed a lot more for me over the past 8 years, and especially over the past few years in working on the cookbook and having my son and wanting to cook more and become better at it. So it's been an interesting journey for me into culinary in that capacity.
That's fantastic. A question was asked, there are other people that have flavored tahini. What are your thoughts of the flavored tahini versus the standard tahini?
I think they're pretty good. In my opinion, and what's interesting about the American market is that we actually recognized pretty early on that just selling tahini itself, just bringing tahini home was not going to be our bread and butter, if you could say, right? Americans especially appreciate having ready-made products, ready-made ingredients. And so I think that the flavored tahinis are great. I mean, we have a chocolate tahini spread, for instance, that I talked about. It's just tahini, powdered pure cane sugar, and cocoa powder. And so that was our way of kind of alluding to halva, the traditional confection and across the Middle East that uses tahini, and also to embrace the sweeter side of tahini, the sweeter side of Soom. But yes, there are tahinis out there that have a harissa flavor, for instance, or already mixed with herbs. And I think they're delicious. And I think that they're a great idea. And if it is helping people that were less familiar with tahini become more familiar with tahini, then I'm all for it. But a lot of those things do end up needing, whether it's like the herbs or other flavors, lots of additional ingredients on the ingredient panel, right? Like to make it stable in that jar. And one of the things that I know I appreciate as a consumer, and not everybody's the same way, but is, so like using this knife better, is making it at home. It makes me feel like I did something. I know that it's healthier. I can control how much salt is in it. I can control how much of this is in it. So I prefer to use that base tahini, the plain tahini, and then incorporate the flavors as I'm cooking. But I think they're great. And it's been really exciting over the past 8 years how many tahini companies have emerged. I mean, I say that super sincerely. There is room for everybody, right? And there's a lot of room for tahini to become more familiar in this market. And we wholeheartedly appreciate the new people that are coming in to also help reach Americans or Western consumers and make tahini more popular. So it's been really exciting to see how tahini has evolved over the past 8 years, especially the last 5 years.
That's not a long time either to have such a change in the marketplace.
No, it's not a long time. And it's so interesting because hummus is very important. I mean, we talk a lot about how we want to use tahini for more than just hummus, but hummus is obviously a very important part of the story of tahini. If hummus had not done what it's done over the past 20, at this point, almost 30 years, probably closer to 30 years, then tahini would have never had its share, fair chance to become what it's now becoming in the market. And it's only been these 5 years. So we see a lot of opportunity for tahini to continue to grow in the American market.
So how do you balance it all? You have the cookbook, you're doing speaking engagements, you're constantly coming up with new things, you're working, you're balancing your family, you know, how do you do this now? And you've got your sisters in the business, but you are the CEO of the company.
Right. Yeah, so I became CEO of the company in April of 2019 when my oldest sister, Shelby, who was our CEO, was getting ready to have her third child. So between us, we currently have 6 grandkids with number 7 on the way. And yeah, thank you. That's when people ask what's the hardest thing about being an entrepreneur, or particularly being a female entrepreneur. And for me, it's being a young female entrepreneur. That's the hardest thing. It's like, we all got married since we started this business 8 years ago. We've all had children since we started this business a year ago. And some of you may be able to relate to this, but being married and having kids is not always easy, and neither is having a business. And so balancing all of that has definitely been the hardest or most challenging thing. But no different than, creating this collaborative team when I wrote my cookbook. That's been our philosophy for Soom all along. I mean, as soon as Soom reached a capacity where we couldn't do something as well as we should have, because we were limited in our resources, primarily time, that's when we knew it was time to hire somebody. So we're about to hire our 9th person into the organization, which is really exciting. I've always had a nanny for my son, right? I have a very supportive and helpful husband. He's currently out at the park with Henry as we speak, even though he just had Henry for the past 4 days, because I was actually home in Maryland for some family things that I had to take care of. And so, yeah, as long as you surround yourself with great people that can either complement your skills or do things better than you can do it, then you're golden. So it's just, don't think you can do it all alone. Don't be a martyr. Don't be a superhero. I don't know, all the thousands of things people have said to me over the years are just so true. I really appreciate and have prioritized a work-life balance from the get-go. Growing up in a family of entrepreneurs, we learn to balance work and home, right? Like, of course, we talk about our family's businesses at home, our parents' businesses, but we learned to separate it. They made a great example of always being at our sports games or really whatever it was, wherever they needed to be. And so I think we've had great examples from our parents and great expectations amongst my sisters and I in terms of how we want our lives to be. So it's been hard, but it's been fun. And I wouldn't trade it for the world, to be totally honest. And this is my most comprehensive demo I've ever done. And typically I should not be chopping in front of you guys, but I'm finding it quite therapeutic, if I have to be honest. And I know that we're like coming up on time. So I'm just going to be combining my celery right into the bowl. And in here, what I just did was I chopped a clove of garlic and I mixed it with, the recipe calls for lemon juice, but I'm not going to lie. If you ask me how I do it all, I also make mistakes a lot. And when I opened my fridge to start prepping this morning, I realized I did not have a lemon. And so I'm doing it in orange juice, which really, writing this cookbook was one of the most liberating things for me, because it made me realize that it doesn't need to be perfect. And there are tons of ways to accomplish delicious recipes. And one substitution for lemon juice that we use throughout the book in a lot of ways is actually using orange juice, which is not so traditional or common when it comes to tahini recipes. So my garlic is currently just sitting in a quarter cup of orange juice. And I'm going to combine it with 1 tablespoon of tahini and 1 tablespoon of date syrup. Date syrup is our other ingredient. That's a popular pantry staple in the Israeli market. It's just made from 100% steamed and pressed dates. And it makes a delicious marinade, a delicious salad dressing. Here we're going to be using it for, I lost my teaspoon guy. That's okay, I'm just gonna eyeball it. Here we're using it for the salad dressing. So we've got a tablespoon of tahini. There goes my sensitive dog, and my husband and my son coming home from the park. a tablespoon of date syrup.
Amy, where can we buy date syrup? Is that sold at Whole Foods?
Date syrup is sold at Whole Foods, actually. There's a brand there called Just Date Syrup, which is pretty good. It's made from California dates, and California dates are different than Israeli dates. If anybody's ever been to Israel and maybe eaten dates there, you can attest to the fact that they are God's gift to mankind, like heaven on earth, and just so spectacular. They're way better than dates from anywhere else, in my opinion. But yes, there is date syrup available at Whole Foods. Date syrup has also become a more popular ingredient over the past couple of years as an alternative sweetener to honey, agave, or maple syrup. And so, yeah, you should find it at Whole Foods. You can find it online, of course, if you're comfortable shopping online. It's becoming more familiar. So my celery, I'm just putting in as well. I'm actually not going to top my salad right now with my dressing because you really only want to top your salad when you're ready to serve it. So this salad can sit well in the refrigerator for up to 1 or 2 days. You want to help? Okay, come, you can help me finish up here. We're just going to make some granola. That's okay. But yeah, you're just going to toss the chopped salad together. And when you're ready to serve it, you will cover it with this salad dressing, which is the tahini, the cilantro, the date syrup, and a little bit of lemon juice or orange juice, a clove of garlic. You gonna help me? Come on up. Can you say hi to everybody?
Hi, Henry.
Say hi. Very good. I'll put it right here. And this is the easiest part. So I'm just quickly going to assemble the granola. What you're going to do once it's assembled is just lay it out on a sheet tray and bake it at 40 for 40 minutes at 250 degrees. So I'm actually going to be, yeah, those are my, move your hand though. There you go, sit up, be careful. What are those? Do you know what these are? They're called raisins. That's right, raisins. So I'm just going to set my oven to 250 while we get started. Let it cool off a little bit. And here we're going to be combining 2 cups of oats. Here's half a cup of sesame seeds. The recipe again calls for cashews, but I ended up, or it calls for walnuts, and I ended up not having walnuts at home when I checked my pantry this morning, but I'm using cashews. Can you put the cashews in? Thank you. Cashews, half a cup of almonds. Yep. And then in a side bowl, we're going to just mix this together. Here, can you use a spoon and mix it? Just like this. Yep. We're putting 6 tablespoons of maple syrup.
So Amy, someone asked, can you use cilantro instead of maple syrup or cilantro?
You can, and if I was in my business mode, I would say, oh, absolutely. But honestly, maple syrup is really just the perfect flavor in this recipe. So I highly recommend maple syrup. Now, cilantro is not a 1-for-1 substitute for maple syrup or honey or even agave because cilantro is not as sweet. Here, pour this in. Cilantro is honestly not as sweet. And so this is 2 tablespoons of coconut oil. You can use your favorite type of neutral oil or any type of a nut oil. So you could use cilantro, but I don't know the exact measurement for that 6 tablespoons. So I can't say it with complete confidence.
Okay.
You have to put the raisins in, Henry, at the very end. So first we're going to mix together. What is it? That's sauce. But this is not going in here. That's for the salad. We're going to do that later. You want to try the salad?
Amy, what's so great about this, and I'm sure everyone could agree, you're so relatable. You know, you're a mom, you're working, you've got a little one, you're living the life that so many of us are doing, whether it's Henry's age, whether it's 13, whether it's 18, what's for dinner, what's a snack. You've made things that are relatable for everybody, even if you're not a mom, if you're retired. The bottom line is you live a life and are making recipes that everyone can make.
Exactly. That's one of the things that I really wanted to accomplish with this cookbook is for it to be relatable to my life as a mother, to other people as mothers, to other people that are busy, to other people that just want to eat better and want access to recipes that are easy to assemble and easy to reheat, or something you can be proud to, when we're all gathering again, serve to friends and family. And so it's just, I really appreciate that because yeah, you know, I wouldn't have been able to put together a cookbook or a recipe book that I wasn't able to cook from myself. And that's really been our philosophy at Soom and as a whole, is that we wanted to bring things to the market that we wanted to eat, something healthy, something nutritious, something versatile, something easy to incorporate into our lives, and tahini is all that. And so
Exactly. Tell us, there was a question, how did you come up with the name Soom?
now, Henry, now you're being too loud, buddy. Can you ask the question again?
Sure, how did you come up with the name Soom?
Oh, great question. Soom is sesame in Hebrew. And so Soom Foods is our full business name. It really to celebrate it's to celebrate and acknowledge sesame as the soul of tahini.
It's amazing. Yeah, I mean, I have to tell you, I mean, I'm getting so many texts and so many messages privately on my cell phone that everyone loves this because it's so relatable. And I think I think a lot of times people buy a cookbook and they say, I'm never going to be able to make a recipe, or how am I going to be able to do this? You don't have to have cooking skills. And I do love how you said at the beginning, you don't even have the mix master.
Nope, not at all. Although, great timing. And I didn't even let these cool on the rack, but it's no big deal because they actually just stay a little bit softer, but this will definitely keep him entertained while we wrap up here. Henny, you want to try the cookie I made? Well, Henry, this is what's in it. What's this? That's right.
Oh, that's fantastic. So he must have a good palate because you're giving him a
tahini also from prenatal to postpartum to early life cycle is an amazing ingredient to incorporate. One of the things I love is how it is versatile from savory to sweet. So I would mix it into his vegetables or fruit at a young age. And then of course, we now mix it into our yogurt or our granola, or put the granola on it, or our cottage cheese. We use a lot of Soom on it. I recently introduced him to our chocolate tahini, which is one of his favorite things, chocolate Soom. And so that's salt. I don't think you want to eat it. I already did. Thank you.
Amy, someone asked us, what about sugar-free syrup? The maple syrup. Do you, I mean, you know, everyone has a different dietary restriction.
Yeah.
Have you ever had people make it with sugar-free syrup?
I think that you probably could. So date syrup has no added sugar in it. All the sugars come from what are the natural sugars in the dates. I don't know a lot about sugar-free syrup. One of the things that we've done though is we do have a table for date syrup substitutes. I don't think sugar-free syrup is on there, but maple syrup is on there, honey is on there, regular sugar is on there for ways that you can incorporate date syrup across recipes as a substitute for those more traditional sweeteners. And we're also just doing that with tahini as well. So how you can use tahini as a substitute for an egg or mayonnaise, or some of the ways that we use it in the cookbook, but as a more formalized table in order to continue that education. And so, yeah, I think that if you have something that's kind of sweet and a similar consistency, this is showing you my lack of real culinary history here, I would try it instead of the Ceylon if that's what you're interested in trying. The worst case is you waste 2 cups of oats. You know what I mean? I think it's great to try things. And then maybe if you just need to reuse that granola in a different capacity than how you normally would, that's one thing. But coming back to the granola, it is 6 tablespoons of maple syrup, because I'm sorry, I didn't go into it. 2 tablespoons of a coconut oil or your favorite natural oil, a pinch of salt in there. It was the 2 cups of oats with half a cup of sesame seeds, half a cup of your favorite nut, like cashews or walnuts, half a cup of sliced almonds. And then you're gonna coat your baking sheet with it. You'll cook it in the oven at 250 degrees for just 40 minutes. And then when it comes out, let it sit. That's what's gonna help it be really large pieces and super crunchy and large. And when you're ready to break it up after letting it sit for about 10 minutes, pour half a cup of raisins or your favorite dried fruit like apricots on there, or even dried cherries. And that just makes a really fabulous granola. I love having it at home. I actually have a box of it already sitting here. I eat it with milk like 3 times a day. It's one of my favorite things to eat right now. And you can see that when you let it sit and kind of give it a minute, you really can get these larger chunks of
It looks so good.
so good.
So good. Yeah. And you could probably, like you said, you can tweak it what if you like dried cherries, or if you like apricots, or if you like cranberries, you could add that to the top.
Exactly. So I love making this. It makes a whole sheet tray at once, and especially when I have the opportunity to connect with the community and maybe make some extra, I share it with my neighbors. I share it with Henry's babysitter. It's definitely a fan favorite of people that are in my community.
Amazing. So the chocolate tahini, and that could be used, like you said, as like a Nutella spread on waffles, or you could use it on toast, or you could use it as a sweet for a dessert, on a pound cake. I mean, there's so much you could do that people don't have to know. It's tahini. It's, they don't realize.
Exactly. And one of the things that I love about it is that it's carved. And so you can use it, as a dessert with fruit, just for dipping fruit. My father every morning takes a tablespoon of chocolate soom and half a banana and a handful of granola, and just, dips his banana into the chocolate soom and the granola and eats that every morning. That's really delicious. We have a couple recipes for incorporating the chocolate tahini into cookies. We've even made mole sauce with chocolate tahini. And so, yeah, we're really pushing the bounds of what those 3 very basic ingredients, right? Tahini, some powdered sugar, and cocoa powder can be beyond just as a spread. But yes, anywhere where you see Nutella, you can use chocolate tahini, chocolate soom. And it has less than half the amount of sugar as Nutella. It's no nuts, no dairy, no palm oil in there. So we're really proud of that product as well.
That's amazing. So all of this we'll be able to share with everyone on your website. We can buy the cookbook, which I know so many people want to do. I can't wait to get it. I was thinking about, how great this could be for a gift. We're all, most of us are not shopping in stores. We could buy this now and purchase it as a gift. We can bake for each other. You can make things for each other. I love the illustrations, I have to tell you, and I've done the research. Tama wrote, has the cookbook. It's wonderful. She saw you on the Philly Federation. Remember, she told me about you. And your presentation's amazing. One of the other girls, Tracy, saw you on the BBYO presentation.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and said you were amazing. And I know the nice thing about Zoom is that we have people on here from all over. And I know you're willing and excited to do presentations for other communities, and that, Soom Foods gets their name out. And there's so much that you could do with tahini, and that's what really drew me to I was so excited when I heard about you, and I thought, with the cookbook, and you're so relatable, adorable, sweet, and welcoming, and open for questions, which is so nice when you are working with someone that cooks, because very often people are really afraid of recipes.
Right. Yeah, I totally understand. And if anybody just caught me and wasn't going to call me out, I'll call myself out, which was I almost forgot the tahini in my maple tahini granola. It's a 1/4 cup of tahini, which you would mix with before you were to pour it in, but I had Henry here and he was pouring. You would mix a 1/4 cup of tahini with the 6 tablespoons of maple syrup and the 2 tablespoons of coconut oil or your favorite oil. But again, don't be afraid if you mess up a recipe. I mean, or if you don't, assemble it in the way that it's written in the cookbook. One of the best tricks that I found is read a recipe through once completely. It's almost like taking a test in elementary school. They say read all the directions first. Just read it, kind of get it in your brain, and then you might feel a little bit more comfortable when you're ready to assemble it. But people make mistakes all the time. And once you add that tahini in, you'll see the granola is a little bit more, has a lot more consistency than just of the maple syrup and the coconut oil. So that is the full maple tahini granola recipe. And you're probably thinking, oh my God, that recipe made no sense, but we will email it to you. It's super easy. So we got you.
No, I think, like I said, I think it looks so great the way you're mixing it now. Again, it's easy. We're mixing things together, and everything you made today looks so good. And I could tell anybody that likes salad, and most of us like salad, but it's always better when it's like an interesting salad as opposed to just iceberg and cucumbers. So the way you chop that up, it looks appealing.
Thank you. Yeah, no, the sweetness of this salad complemented with the garlic in the sauce, in the dressing, but also I love raw red onions. Some people it's not for them, my father included, but I love this chopped salad. It's definitely going to be a treat for me for lunch when I put Henry down for a nap soon. So.
Well, we thank you. I can tell you we could go on and on, because cooking, like you said, you love to eat who doesn't, especially during a pandemic? It's super fun to make new things.
Yeah.
And I also want to jump on for those who aren't going to stores, that you can, like you said, order it on Amazon, which I'm sure everyone has, and Prime, and you could get things without leaving your house. But let me ask you one thing before we sign off. So the dressing, how long would you leave that with the tahini and the dressing in your fridge? What's the shelf life on that?
So that's about a week. And a lot of our sauces have even more tahini and more liquid in there. And so actually something that has a lot of acid, like this would be made with lemon juice or the orange juice, that can last a lot longer in the fridge. I could probably, it's only not even a third of a cup of dressing, so it won't last me long anyway. But something with more acid can last for longer. Many of our tahini sauces and dressings last for up to a week in the refrigerator.
Which is great to know, so you could use them on multiple recipes.
Yeah,
or,
absolutely.
like you said, as sauces or dips with vegetables, raw vegetables.
Yeah, I love keeping a salad dressing or a sauce at home because it makes packing my lunch for work easier, or snacking in the afternoons when I come home, right? I can just grab a celery stick and grab the sauce, and I don't need to, buy a slice of pizza when I'm feeling really hungry.
That's fantastic. Well, we thank you, and I thank you for taking the time with us today. You were such a delight, and we're super excited. I can tell, like I said, I'm getting constant text messages. Oh my gosh, this is great. I can't wait to buy the cookbook and make the recipes. I thank you for prepping everything. You've got Henry. You're expecting another one. You've got a busy Sunday, but thanks for, taking the time with our JCC. We're not far from you, and we're, the Lehigh Valley, but so many of us are from other places. But it was so fun, and it was wonderful to meet you.
It's so nice to connect. I feel so fortunate to have this medium, Zoom, to connect with communities and being able to thank you for the opportunity to tell you about myself and my business, my family, my cookbook. I so appreciate it. So thank you.
You're most welcome, and we'll be sure to send you pictures when everyone makes their food. And Amy, you're on Instagram, right?
I am on Instagram, and Soom Foods is on Instagram, and we will send all that information so you can find it easily, because we're always sharing recipes far beyond just what's in this cookbook. So
right.
There's lots of ways to every day, all day.
Right. I'm a big fan of the Instagram page, and I have to say, the recipes look amazing, and Soom's always so your social marketing's great. And I have to, it's so relatable. That's what I love about it,
you.
So we thank you. We wish you health and happiness, and we look forward to hearing what more to come from you.
Thank you so much. It was so nice to connect. Have a great day and enjoy this beautiful weather. Get some sunshine.
So thanks everyone, and we will see you guys soon. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.